Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, everybody. My name is Angela, and I'd like to welcome you to today's session, Transforming Foresight to Real-Time Science, with Mario Coletti, Managing Director of iCoolHunt Nextatlas, and Siri Kalinowski, Strategic Foresight Lead at Mondelez International. Without further ado, let me introduce you to our speakers. Mario is the Managing Director of iCoolHunt Nextatlas. With over 30 years of experience in digital transformation, marketing, and business development across global corporations such as BP, WPP, and Capgemini. Today, Mario is committed to making a great success of Nextatlas, the disruptive MarTech startup specialized in social web data analytics through AI. Siri is the Strategic Foresight Lead at Mondelez International, global snacking powerhouse. He is tasked with leading the building of the foresight capability and encouraging a future-orientated, long-term thinking culture within the company. He has a wide range of work experience built for the last 20 years of active career across marketing, analytics, and strategic functions, both within Mondelez and other companies. So Mario, over to you.
Thank you, Angela. Thank you very much for the kind introduction, and a very warm welcome to all the participants, everyone that has accepted our invite to participate and attend our session. Today's session, as Angela introduced, is a session that is bringing together Nextatlas as a partner of Mondelez. And so after my introduction, I will hand over to Sergey that will explain how Mondelez is using Nextatlas within Mondelez and how the data that are coming from Nextatlas helps Mondelez in innovation and marketing strategies. Before we go to, before I hand over the mic to Sergey for his part, I would like to make a short introduction about Nextatlas and our unique value proposition, the way you can benefit and get value from Nextatlas, not just only Mondelez. And so what I will do is I will take you through the key principles and the key technologies that we use at Nextatlas to identify and find foresight. And I will explain to you and show a quick demo on how you can use Nextatlas, access it, and learn from the data that we collect within the platform. Why does Nextatlas exist? Is because we think that with the democratization of information, with the proliferation of social media and influencer, anyone nowadays can influence through their presence online, and therefore anyone can be an innovator or an early adopter. So Nextatlas artificial intelligence is able to identify, track, and analyze predictive audiences that we call innovators and early adopters, sources and content that are relevant and can be translated in actionable insights, offering brands and agencies a way to identify emerging trends that may be a good sign for a change that a company should consider in terms of innovation from a technology perspective, new product development, and communication. We transform trend reporting into science and foresight into science. Why we say that is because it's not that we predict the future out of a crystal ball. We use data-driven foresight that we combine with visual and verbal content. And everything is actually validated through key metrics that make prediction precise. And yet, last but not least, everything that we analyze is always on and therefore is constantly up to date. Here, in a nutshell, is the way the data flow into Nextatlas and how we analyze the data that are coming from various social media sources. The first step of Nextatlas is actually to spotting, to identifying what we call breakthrough innovators. People that are either starting a conversation or are jumping into new conversation, are showing into within the social media space a potential new behavior and consumption attitude. By analyzing and identifying those weak signals that are indicating a change in the consumer habits, we can therefore predict and forecast new and big changes that will happen across multiple categories. By the way, we analyze 22 different categories, mostly in the consumer space. Obviously, we have a high level of analytics in the food industry that is mostly used by Mondelez and our food clients, but also beauty and care, technology, travel, banking, and automotive are also analyzed through our platform. Everything that we do, as I mentioned, is always on, and therefore we constantly update and refresh the data. And everything that we do is measured by data and validated through a large volume of data that come from over 300,000 industry-specific innovators that are the ones that we identify through social media. We analyze more than 50 million posts every week and over 20,000 tags. The key platforms that we use for the analysis are Instagram, X, Behance, YouTube, Reddit, but also we can expand into market-specific social media spaces. And the reason why we select specifically those networks is because, first of all, we are very keen to do everything aligned with what are regulation and GDPR and everything that has to do with privacy. But the second reason why we use those platforms is because we believe that those platforms are the one where we can actually get the most out of innovators and early adopters. Everything that is in Nextatlas is actually delivered to you through multiple ways. So the three ways that are used to access the data are the feed way that basically is a constant feed to you of new information and data as you access the platform. But also you have a search engine that you can use by searching keywords and areas that you are interested in. And now, since the introduction of GPT in the world, we developed our own generative AI solution. Not all clients have access to our own generative AI solutions. This depends on the approach that a client takes to generative AI. But our generative AI solution is actually based on GPT-4, so the most advanced side of generative AI using OpenAI, and is highly advanced in the way that can provide you answers using the data that are coming from our repository within Nextatlas. Very often, we are also asked, what is the difference between Nextatlas and the traditional social media listeners? And the key difference is the difference in terms of our approach versus social media listening. We monitor consumer in the adoption curve. This is why I keep talking about innovators and early adopters. We are looking specifically for new signals and new hints that can actually indicate a change in behavior. So we don't do the traditional social media listening that is done to analyze and measure the performances of the brand. We start bottom up to what consumers are saying to understand what will come next that can be considered important for the early adopters and the early majorities, and therefore those consumers that are mostly interested in the new introduction in the market. So this is why our platform and our data are very important to spot and understand the key changes that are happening in the market. And as we know nowadays, social media is becoming highly used by what I call the social media generations. Social media generations are those that have adopted social media as a key point of information and a key point of sharing experiences and ideas. Obviously, there is a large component of the social media generation that is coming from the young generations, but more and more also older generation are becoming highly active in social media. And because and through social media, traditional relationship between brands and consumer have changed and can be monitored through the information that we get. But everything that has to do with digital influence, changing lifestyle preferences, and changing shopping preferences are areas that we can track and capture through the data that we collect in social media. The other key point about our source of data is that nowadays niche brands have become a threat to the established one. So traditional media and traditional advertising has become less effective, and also the traditional brands have become has started to become, let's say, attacked by emerging niche brands. And where do these niche brands go? Where do they start from? Obviously, this is social media. And therefore, to analyze the social media space for that is a key way to identify new and emerging aspects and new emerging activities from the niche brands. Now, just a little bit of details about what you can get from Nextatlas is based on the fact that we organize the data in a very thorough and structured way. So when I talk about weak signals, the weak signals are basically translated into facts. The facts are the first kind of early signs of something that is actually changing from what we can see in social media. Facts are then translated into insights. Insights basically is a correlation of multiple facts coming together, indicating some interesting aspect that could be considered by a brand for a change in strategy and communication, in innovation, and so on. And finally, multiple insights lead into trends. And so trends are the more long-lived, wider items that embody a deep cultural phenomenon, something that is starting to be ingrained and based in the consumer choices and consumer mindset. So those three layers are the key layers that are differentiating and are dividing Nextatlas. What you see here now is actually a screencast of how you navigate Nextatlas. Nextatlas, as you can see, is a platform which is highly dynamic and easy to read and easy to follow. And within Nextatlas, you get a huge amount of information and details related to specific trends, facts, or insights. You get information about the trend curve, how things are evolving. You get information about the key consumers that are related to the specific topic. You get data out of industries. And depending on the category you're using, for instance, you get a specific focus on food and beverage, a specific focus on beauty and care. And finally, you get a huge amount of information related to what is being posted on social media, from videos to pictures to obviously live posts and so on, that can be very relevant and useful also for the creative development of ideas and so on. So the platform is used by the brands such as Mondelez, but is also used by highly used by agencies that are using that for inspiration for the creative development. As I mentioned, everything that is in Nextatlas is highly measured and statistically checked in terms of the relevance and the validity of the data. So every content or every element is measured through a number of different KPIs. And here I'm sharing with you some of the KPIs, not all. But for instance, the key important KPIs that we have also developed in collaboration with Mondelez are the reach that is actually giving the aspect of how big is a phenomenon, or how important what is the reach that a certain topic or a certain emerging trend is having, and is give an idea about the size of the trend. Intensity, which is the number of posts that are related to that specific aspect. and intensity obviously give an idea about how important and how keen are consumers, how keen are the people that we are following related to that specific trend. And then finally frequency, which is a kind of indicator of how frequently people are posting related to that. And that gives us an idea about the trajectory of the post, and therefore the direction and how we can expect that specific factor, insight of trend, to evolve over time. And therefore we can actually get a sort of indication of the speed of the evolution of the trend. Last but not least, everything that we measure is measured at global level, but also at market level. So when you analyze and look into a fact or a trend or an insight, you can actually have a distribution of that across multiple geographical countries and regions, but also you can actually get the detail by a specific market. As I mentioned before, to make Nextatlas even easier to be followed and even easier to be used, we have introduced in Nextatlas our own generative solution. Generate is actually our generative AI solution that is a proprietary solution that includes a set of different AI agents for market research, consumer insight, and creative inspiration. So we have not actually limited our generative AI solution to the simple question and query that is something that you get from ChatGPT, for instance, but we have created multiple agents that can actually give you relevant information. For instance, we have the persona generator agent that is creating lookalike personas of consumers that are interested into a specific category or a specific product or ingredients. We have the ingredient discovery agent that is giving ideas about what are the most emerging ingredient within a certain category. And also we have the innovation tracker that is a tool to get innovation. Everything there is actually run and powered by our natural language responses solution, which is powered, as I mentioned before, by GPT-4. But on top of that, we actually enrich the data through our AI-powered case finder, which is basically our database of use cases that is actually continuously enriched by blogs and other sources from the internet. And also, everything is answered based on Nextatlas engine data. And therefore, all the data that are there and are generated, all the answers that are generated from your questions are actually coming out of the analysis of the data that are contained in Nextatlas. And now in the next video, I will actually give you a view about agents, because obviously they are already live, and everything that has a license to Nextatlas can actually access it. Basically, the agent is based on queries that can be asked to the system, and out of that, what you get is a quick report, but also the link and the access to Nextatlas with all the data and information that I showed you before. The system is very quick to answer, and everything that is developed and delivered there can be actually copied and pasted into your presentation, or even can be downloaded in PowerPoint, in PDF, and in Excel. So everything that you get out of the Nextatlas tool can actually be immediately translated into your presentations, into your documents, or can be used for stimuli into your workshops and your different activities. Plus, can be also merged with data from different data sources that you may have, other market research, and so on and so forth. Now, I hope that you found the kind of flow of the functionalities of Nextatlas interesting, and you learned something new. Last but not least, everything that is in Nextatlas can be accessible either through our platform, and therefore by accessing Nextatlas through the license, but also can be fed into your system through API. The Nextatlas, the API server, works in a way that is able to transfer all the data and information into your main system, into the client space. And this is exactly the way Nextatlas works with Mondelez, where basically on a weekly basis we transfer to the Mondelez FTR platform all the data that are coming from Nextatlas, specifically designed and organized and prioritized in a way that has been agreed by and together with Mondelez, together with Sergey and his team. Like using our Nextatlas platform, when people in Mondelez access FTR, can basically understand and see which kind of entities exist, which values each type of entity may have, can actually ask and interrogate the list of outcomes related to specific entities, and can actually basically see according to their search and what they are looking for, what are the key relevant information that they need to get out of Nextatlas. But more about this from Mondelez and from Sergey. So I would love to now invite Sergey to explain and tell us how actually Mondelez is using Nextatlas and how beneficial it is to the whole Foresight activities of Mondelez. Next, Sergey, all yours. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mario. Hi, everyone. I'm happy to be here with you today. My name is Sergey. I lead strategic foresight function in Mondelez International. And within the next 20 minutes or so, I will talk about strategic foresight at Mondelez and how our cooperation with Nextatlas team helps us with future-focused insights. But first, about the company I represent. Mondelez International is a snacking powerhouse, as Angela has mentioned. We have operations in about 150 markets worldwide. The company has over $36 billion annual revenue and capitalization close to 100 billion. Key snacking categories that we participate in are chocolate, biscuits, and baked snacks. And even if for some of you Mondelez name does not ring a bell, I bet you are definitely familiar with our brands. We have strong portfolio of global brands such as Oreo, Cadbury, Toblerone, Milka, and also versatile portfolio of local brands such as Kindu in Vietnam, for example, or 7 Days in Europe. Company mission is to lead the future of snacking around the world by offering the right snack for the right moment made the right way. And as you can see, future is embedded already in the core of our mission. And ambition of strategic foresight that I lead is to promote future thinking and spearhead forward-looking culture in the company. And we do it by equipping Mondelez community with foresight tools and methods that help them to future-proof our strategies across functions and geographies. Our company leadership and company CEO personally are very vocal about the importance of leading from the future. For quite some time, we are building foresight machine in Mondelez as we believe in systematic and continuous engagement with the future. There are several essential components of foresight model that we practice. First is the center of excellence, that is foresight function. We are a small team and we have chosen such approach deliberately as we do not want foresight function to have a monopoly on understanding the future. Instead, we would like to empower the entire Mondelez community to engage with the future using Foresight tools and methods. So we are less of a Foresight think tank and more Foresight champions and change facilitators. Second component is trend intelligence and systematic scouting that explores the key trends impacting the future of our industry and our company. We have a dedicated trend intelligence platform that we call FTR. Mario has mentioned it, and I will cover it separately further in this presentation. Then we have a specific process that turns trend intelligence into actionable insights and uncovers future opportunities and threats. We call the process internally impact-oriented trend activation. The name is quite telling, as the process is focused on bringing tangible impact for the future of our company by acting on the insights that we get from trend intelligence. We also do company-wide education and communication, and earlier this year we have also launched State of Snacking Future Trends report as the manifestation of company thought leadership when it comes to the future of our industry and snacking in particular. Finally, we have stakeholders all over the company that we engage and partner with over the variety of future-focused projects. And further, I will talk about three specific components of Foresight function in Mondelez. First is systematic scouting, impact-oriented trend activation, and also education, communication, and public thought leadership. In all of these components, we rely on Nextatlas partnership and use Nextatlas trend intelligence. But before, I have actually a question for you. And we will have a small poll. How many trend reports you have read or at least received this year so far? Let us see. Is it A, 1, 2, B, 3, 5, C, 6, 10, D, 11, 20, or even more than 20? Depends on probably what your focus is, right? So what your interest is. All right, let's see the results. Okay, so majority have read, at least accessed, from 3 to 10 trend reports so far. And what it tells us is that there is no lack of information, right? We are all drowning in information, and there is no lack of trend reports of various kinds that we can get today for free or on the paid basis. And for us in strategic foresight, systematizing trend intelligence was one of the first steps that we did when we started practicing foresight systematically. Before, we had a tapestry of trend reports circulating in the company, both proprietary and coming from various partners and agencies, and there was no single company view on what trends are important for the future of our industry. Therefore, we have changed this by launching FTR, our own trend intelligence platform, and that has helped us to establish a shared vision of the critical trends shaping the future of snacking. Since then, it became a single-stop shop for the trend intelligence in Mondelez. Everyone in the company has the access to FTR, so it really democratizes strategic foresight and future-focused intelligence. In the center of platform, we have Mondelez trend framework that contains trends that we believe might materially impact the future of food and snacking. For convenience, we have organized trends hierarchically. As you can see in the illustration, they are structured under macro and megatrends. And we have built this trend framework researching a variety of both internal and external trend reports. So it was quite significant effort. We update the trend framework each year by bringing in new reports and signals from a variety of sources. And Mondelez trend framework is only the tip of the iceberg because underwater we have much larger amount of more granular trend intelligence that feeds into a trend framework. And that's where we have Nextatlas trends. We call them sub-trends to differentiate them from the trends level that we have in Mondelez trend framework. And Nextatlas sub-trends bring in two critical benefits for our trend intelligence. The first benefit is deep dive or double click on each trend from Mondelez trend framework, as typically we have several Nextatlas sub-trends connected to each Mondelez trend framework. Since Nextatlas sub-trends is at more granular level, yes, there are more, in terms of number of Nextatlas trends, there are many more than trends that we have in Mondelez trend framework because they tend to be on a higher level. And then the second benefit that Nextatlas trend intelligence brings to us is actually quantification. Reach and frequency that Mario has covered before provides an understanding of the importance of each trend because of the number of discussion, the share of discussion in social media among key opinion leaders and early adopters. Apart from Nextatlas, we have other sources of trend intelligence that is connected to the platform. We have AI-powered signals module from Itonix, that is the developer behind the platform. And this module does web scraping in real time and fetches publications relevant for each individual trend from the internet. We work also together with research companies like Euromonitor, Mintel, Kantar, Synthesio, and they bring in additional signals and insights. And we also have good old manual trend intelligence curation that is again company-wide. Anyone from Mondelez community can bring in so-called inspiration to the platform using a quite handy tool that is called Web Clipper. This is a browser add-on that allows to clip the link to the publication that you're reading in the internet together with a short description and send it to the platform with literally just 2 clicks. Yes, so it's almost effortless. Now let's watch a short video. The video created to promote the platform internally. So that's the platform, and we call it interactive trend intelligence platform because it also partially works as a kind of social media. So our colleagues can start a discussion on any element of the platform, post their comments, share elements, and like them. Also create proprietary collections of trend intelligence for a specific topic of their interest. It's really, really great tool. Now, yes. Now about impact-oriented trend activation. Strategic foresight as the process has three phases: perceiving, prospecting, and probing. Perceiving is about detecting the change. It includes trend scouting, trend systematization, localization, if we are talking about specific geographical trends, and managing trend intelligence overall. Prospecting is about making sense of the change, and it includes trend evaluation, trend prioritization, and understanding trend implications for the future of the focal point. So that is the question of our interest. Last phase is probing, and it involves mapping opportunities and threats for our company that arise from trend implications and finally putting trend insights into actions. Impact-oriented trend activation is supported by trend intelligence that we have in FTR, and the part of this trend intelligence is, of course, Nextatlas. Then internal communication and updates. Nextatlas trend intelligence plays an important role here as well, giving us granular and frequent view on the change that we share across the company. Mario has mentioned that we do weekly push. There is an API link established between Nextatlas platform and FTR. Therefore, we are able to share top Nextatlas insights weekly with our colleagues. These are interactive newsletters that contain links to FTR. And also we include Nextatlas trend intelligence into monthly Future Digest newsletters. And we also have a glimpse into the future webinars where we cover important topics of our interest for our colleagues. It also heavily rely on Nextatlas trend intelligence. Finally, this year we have published State of Snacking Future Trends report. This is our perspective on the future of snacking, manifesting our thought leadership and expertise. It became one of the most visited and downloaded resources at our corporate website. And within the report, we have included rich metrics from Nextatlas, as you can see from the illustration that is coming from Nextatlas Trend Intelligence, and it gives the audience the measure of popularity for each trend in terms of the discussions, the volume, number of discussions in social media. So that's how we use Nextatlas Trend Intelligence in strategic foresight in our trend intelligence component specifically. With this, let me hand over back to Mario to summarize the session.
Thanks, Sergey. And I must say that beyond the great explanation and the thorough description on how you use Foresight and so on, one of the challenges that always have companies is how to communicate across the organization everything that is identified and found and through the researches and so on. And your media plan and communication of everything that is coming out of FTR is something outstanding that I've rarely seen or probably unique and never seen in a company such a thorough level of communication at different level and across the organization. So it's really exciting to see that, and I think this is the way to make basically basically Foresight useful and relevant for the organization, and is the way actually to change the culture of an organization. And I'm saying that because we will go soon toward to the Q&A session, and I know that there are already very interesting questions coming, and I would encourage everyone that is attending today to add their question to the Q&A, so we can have actually a good Q&A session at the end of our presentation, which is actually going to be right after my final slide, or our final slide, because it was actually written and edited between Sergey and myself, that talks about the benefit of strategic partnership. Definitely the one between Mondelez and Nextatlas is a strategic partnership. I really feel that it's not a simple supplier and client partnership, because we have built everything in FTR, but also in Nextatlas together through the input and through the constructive criticism, but also through the support of Mondelez. And we have built a model, which is a model that is highly tailoring, and therefore is a model that we have learned how to replicate on other clients. So what you see here and what you've seen here is something that is good for everyone. Just go and buy a Nextatlas license, but also can be very, very tailored to the needs of the client, which is the FTR solution. So the key benefit of the strategic partnership are fundamentally three: the tailored solution, the fact that the support and continuous support brings to customer success, and the fact that continuous input and let's say engagement between us and Mondelez is constantly pushing the capability beyond and looking for constant innovation. So as I said, we think with the model that we have built in together with Mondelez, we have created the most optimal format for trend insight and the way actually to bring those information into internal stakeholder. And the testimony of that is actually the way Mondelez is communicating internally in Nextatlas. Everything is based on regular feedback. So we have constant regular feedback in the most kind of hectic, active time, at least once a month, if not more frequently, but certainly on a quarterly basis, we actually have a double check and a KPI kind of review to see that we are on track or we exceed actually the expectation. And this brings obviously continuous input to new improvements and adaptation. The way we work has been very, very consistent in the past 3-4 years. I think Sergey can confirm that. The fact that the people that have been working on the team from Nextatlas, but also Mondelez, has been pretty consistent, has helped to actually develop a great relationship. And also, it is making easier to look at common success and common goals, and therefore have a relationship which is both satisfactory from the client side, but also from our side. And as I mentioned, this is a way to have opportunities to continuous innovation and stay at the edge of the let's say market within the Foresight space. We are constantly looking to what can we learn and what can we do to improve the way we identify the new trends and new signals, but also everything that is coming as an output is something that we look into in terms of measurement to see that they are relevant for the company, are relevant for Mondelez, and across the different teams within the client space. So to me, in a nutshell, the benefit of strategic partnership is based on the long-term duration of the relationship, and the fact that by working together, we get better and better into what we do, and we constantly improve on what are the outputs of everything that we do. I don't know if Sergey, you want to add anything to that, And in the meantime, we can start collecting and looking into the Q&A and see how and what are the kind of things that trigger curiosity by the audience. Angela, would you like to navigate us through the questions that we have received or we are receiving at the moment?
Yes, absolutely. No problem. Thank you so much, Mario, Sergey, for this really interesting session. Really appreciate it. As Mario has mentioned, please feel free to send your questions through the Q&A widget, and we will be happy to answer as many as possible. There's quite a lot of questions coming in. If we don't get to all of them, I'm sure that Mario and Sergey will be happy to answer later by email. So perhaps we can start off with a question from Susan, which is for Sergey. Sergey, how has the journey of strategic foresights of Mondelez been? Many of us in this function struggle with adoption and cultural change. Can you share your experience? Has this platform helped?
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, it does take time, right? Because we are talking about culture change. So it cannot happen within just a few months. Yes. So what we have been doing, we are quite relentless in terms of communication. Yes, you have seen some elements of our internal communication plan. And we extend communication to all the functions. And apart from the central communication plan, we do a lot of engagement sessions within the company with various functions. And the interest is fantastic. So we usually have 2-3 sessions at least a month with various functions explaining strategic foresight and in particular trend intelligence or trend frameworks. Because of course everyone is fairly interested what the future might bring to the business and to their specific area of responsibility in the company. So I would say the journey does take time, so you need to be patient. And in terms of the platform, yes, absolutely, it has been a great resource, and it is a great resource that helps with democratizing future thinking. So I would highly advise to have such solution internally if you would like to bring everyone to the same picture. If you would like to everyone to have the same picture of the future and to have easy to access resource that contains the trend intelligence.
Thank you very much. We have another question from Michael, who's asking, how did you take, I think this is more for you, Mario, how did you take FTA working in all the, in all the internal population across functions? Did you integrate the trend inspiration in their daily routine? Oh, sorry, my question jumped. We have so many coming in at the same time. Apologies. Do the trend monitoring and forecasting systems have a way of determining the accuracy of the prediction and longevity if the trend actualizes? Will it feed the accuracy back into the analytics to train the forecasting analytics?
Thanks, Angela. So yeah, basically, we will get back to Michael's question later, and that was for Sergey, related to the use of FTR within his organization. But your question for me is the one from Ben about how do we monitor how trends are evolving and how what is the accuracy and how do we measure the accuracy of the prediction. And this is actually based on what I said before in terms of the fact that the platform works on an always-on basis, and we track and we can go back 36 months and potentially even more than 36 months to see what happened. So by constantly monitoring how a fact is evolving into an insight and potentially a trend, we are able to see and actually compare what was the prediction versus what has been actually the actual line of evolution of that specific fact, insight, or trend. And therefore, we can actually look into the margin of error, and we can say that we are totally satisfied on the fact that we have something like more than 90% accuracy within 12 months. Obviously, the more beyond you go over the 12 months and so on, the margin of error increase, because obviously the statistical model becomes less accurate for sure. But within the 12 months, we have a very, very high level of accuracy that we can monitor through the trend lines that we constantly monitor within Nextatlas. And obviously, that learning of the accuracy and the errors that are made are reanalyzed, and they are used for machine learning to actually make the system and the engine better into that level of prediction. And so there is a constant improvement in the way we look into that, and a constant search in terms of understanding what did happen, why that prediction was wrong eventually, and why, and if it was wrong in excess or in defect, and what was potentially the cause of that. Because by the ability to analyze millions of posts and information, verbal and visual, coming out of social media, we are also able to identify what was the cause of a change in the direction of a certain fact or a trend. We are able to identify if there was some specific event, which could be a change, a significant change in the economy, a larger cultural event, or a smaller cultural event, potentially a big launch of a brand or a product within the market, or a big advertising campaign, maybe one successful or very unsuccessful. All those kind of elements can actually make a change in the trajectory of what we are monitoring. And by actually looking at the constant evolution and line of the change of our items, we are able to see how wrong were we, or how right were we in our prediction, and why that was the case. This is why Sergey mentioned earlier on that there is a huge amount of data within Nextatlas, because we keep the repository over 36 months. So there are more than 600 trends that are constantly monitored, that were identified since 2015, and they are still monitored today, if they are still alive, of course. And therefore, there is a constant increase on the volume of the data insights fact that are there, and we can keep monitoring them to understand and to improve in the platform. Sorry for the long answer, but I think it was worth explaining how eventually the technology works.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Let's go to Michael's question. And this one is indeed for Sergey. So how did you make FTA work in all of the internal population cross functions? Did you integrate the trend inspiration in their daily routine?
First of all, everyone in Mondelez has the access to FTR, right? So everyone who has Mondelez email and password can access FTR. So early on, we have implemented a single sign-on, yeah, and it plays an important role because people do not need to remember the login credentials, passwords, and login every time. Yes, so it's really seamless experience accessing the platform. Second, it's not that we have integrated trend intelligence into their daily routine. It probably is an overstatement, but since everyone has the access to the platform, they can get the trend intelligence at any point of time they need it. Right? And typically they need it for strategic projects, for annual planning, for strategic plans. Or sometimes they need it for to fuel some specific projects, or simply for inspirations. Yeah, so there are a variety of reasons why people would come to the platform and access the trend intelligence. But the important thing is that we really democratized the access, And we are relentlessly communicating the value, first of all, the very fact that we have FTR and that it contains all these amazing, very well-structured insights. Yes, and second, we do remind about the value of future thinking in entire organization, so it plays an important role.
Thank you. We started a little bit late, so hopefully, Mario, Sergey, you're okay to hold on the call just a little bit longer. There's an interesting question from Steph that perhaps is for both of you. What about GDPR compliance of your data?
Yeah, well, let me jump into that. We actually have a very, very strict kind of code of conduct for the analysis of data, and we strictly comply with the latest regulation from GDPR and also from the AI Act that was recently published and from the European Community. And we can actually provide all the documentation that is relative to, obviously, our specific compliance to GDPR, because obviously working with global clients such as Mondelez, we need obviously to be aligned with their own standards, which sometimes are even stricter than the standards that are requested by the legislation. And we need to provide all the proof of compliance to the kind of standards that our clients are asking for, rightly so. And therefore, we are very, very careful in terms of the way, and very, very well structured in a way for the documentation that is related to the approach toward privacy, security of data, and everything that is related, obviously, to the respect of GDPR and more. Sergey, is there anything you want to add from your side as Mondelez?
I think you have covered it well, and obviously that Nextatlas has passed all the internal checks in Mondelez regarding data safety, security, and compliance.
So perhaps as a last question, we have a question from Sylvie, and I think probably for you, Sergey. She's asking who is or are your main sponsors, and by that I think she maybe means the within your company, who are your main supporters at Mondelez to be able to get to do this trend forecasting?
Sure. So we are the part of Global Insights Analytics organization, and our leadership of Global Insights Analytics supports strongly future thinking and strategic foresight. And we enjoy the support also from company leadership. As I have mentioned, our CEO, Dirk van der Poort, is a big proponent of future thinking and future back approach.
Sounds like that is very important to your way forward. So from my side, thank you very much for staying on the call and for giving us of your time. We really appreciate it. We would like to thank our speakers, Mario and Sergey, for joining us, and of course to all of you for participating in this webinar. We hope you've enjoyed your time with us. We certainly look forward to seeing you either in person or at another webinar sometime soon. Thanks very much, everyone. Thank you.